Bean.
Here.
Brown 16. Searpoy. Crawford. Fitzwater.
Here.
Henderson.
Here.
Hudson.
Here.
May. Neuenburn. Washington. Williams. Senator, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. We will now begin the meeting with testimony from Senator Hough presenting a bill, Senate Bill 753. Please begin, Senator Hough, when you're ready.
Presentation of testimony thereafter, whatever. That's fine. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Senator Lincoln Hough, representing the 30th Senatorial District, City of Springfield, before you this morning for consideration. Appreciate the time. Senate Bill 753 simply authorizes that the Wine and Grape Board utilize, I believe, 30 cents out of the 42 cents per gallon that is assessed on each gallon of wine that is sold in this state for their own utilization. They've done significant work here recently in research, primarily, I believe, around a Norton grape that will, I think, change the dynamic of wine in Missouri. And I think we've got a few folks here that are going to testify in support of this and the magnitude of impact that this legislation can have. This is one of those taxes that is already assessed. It's not a new tax. This is just utilizing existing money for more extensive research for the Wine and Grape Board. And I think it's worth noting that right now that additional revenue generates somewhere around $1.2 million annually. Right now it is directed towards the Department of Agriculture, and they utilize it in a number of ways. The intent from hopefully this committee would be that we don't necessarily take $1.2 million from, and I've talked to the director of the Department of Agriculture, we don't take that money away from them, but find another avenue to make them whole so there's no impact long-term to the Department of Agriculture. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Senator. Any questions, Senator Hough? Yes, Senator Bean.
No.
So to clarify, we're not raising any taxes on
Nope.
wine, right?
Nope, we're not. We're just changing where the already allocated taxes are distributed.
All right, just making sure.
You bet.
Any other questions of the senator? Seeing none, is anyone here testify in favor? Please come forward, state your name. I'm sure you have witness stuff taken care of. Sir, begin.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. For the record, Steve Carroll. I am the legal counsel for the Missouri Wine and Grape Board in the Department of Ag, also the lobbyist for the Missouri Wine and Grape Alliance, the Missouri Vintners Association, and the Missouri Grape Growers Association, all here in support of Senate Bill 753. We want to thank the sponsor for putting this measure in. Just a little backdrop. If you'll recall, last year the sponsor of this bill, with this committee's support, put in a $3 million line item appropriation for the University of Missouri for the Grape and Wine Institute to build a new fermentation and research center. And so it's currently being built. Originally, the ask was for $5 million, but working with the University of Missouri, we were able to get that number down to $3 million by redeveloping a section of Eccles Hall, which is in the College of Agriculture. I even went to classes in that building. And so they're doing a great job trying to hold down the cost, but this obviously is a game changer. But you have to have the resources to run the new fermentation and research center. And so currently, just for your background information, every gallon of wine sold in the state of Missouri, there's a 42-cent tax on that. Whether it's French, Italian wine, California, or Missouri wine, we all pay the same tax. And when that tax was first put into place, the Missouri Wine and Grape Board received 12 cents of that tax. And that 12 cents raises about $1.6 to $1.8 million a year, and it's divided up equally. Half of that money goes to marketing. The other half goes to research for the Wine and Grape Institute that currently was existing at the University of Missouri. And so what this bill does is simply transfer an additional 9 cents of that money to help run that fermentation and research center at the University of Missouri. That 9 cents will equate about $1.2 million to help run the new facility. You know, that's the rest of the 21 cents still goes to the Department of Ag. We're not asking for it all. We're just asking for half of our tax money to help us with the research center. We think that's a reasonable ask, and certainly We're currently a $1.6 billion industry in this state. We think with this, within the next 10 years, we'll be a $2.5 billion industry. So you're going to get an investment on the return of that 9 cents without a doubt. So I think when the sponsor says, that, we can get that 1.2 million, I think, back, and GR can cover those, whatever is lost. Now, I know in looking at the fiscal note, the department said, well, we could cut 11 FTE. I don't see that happening. They're very important. And talking with the sponsor, he feels like that we can get to 1.2 million in GR. You got to remember, before this tax went into place, for 100 years, the entire department was funded by GR. And so, we don't think we're making a big ask here. And we think this is a game changer for the wine industry in the state of Missouri. We're going to have the best research facility of any state in the Midwest. So we feel like this is a good investment. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions, witness? Senator Sippel.
Thank you. And I'm just curious, wine's been around a while. What are we researching?
Just different varieties. It's all in genetics. You got to remember, this ain't California, and we have some tough winters. And, and frost is a factor here, just certainly on the quality. John Hell, the owner of Stonehill here, and Peter Hofer, the owner of St. James Winery here, I'm sure they could answer that question a lot better than I can.
Okay. I'm thinking wine's been around since like thousands of years ago, and
It has, and it's getting better. We grow some great grapes here, and we make some good wine, but this will put us, I think, on the next tier. And that's
is a grape considered GMO or not GMO, or is that even something that impacts?
I'll let Mr. Held or Mr. Hofer
that's
answer
okay.
that question.
Thank you.
I'm
Senator
just attorney.
Senator
Currently, is there so there is a wine and research promotion board? Is that currently in place? Is there a checkoff right now? Okay. And I'm assuming that checkoff goes all to research, or is it split also between?
Marketing and research.
No. Well, thank you.
Any other questions, this witness? Next witness in favor, please.
Good morning, Senators. My name is John Held. I'm a president and second-generation owner of Stonehill Winery. My parents started Stonehill in 1965, and they're really the first winery to reopen since Prohibition in the whole Midwest. My dad spent a lot of time up here getting the laws changed just to have a wine industry. When he started, there was a cap. They could only make like 5,000 gallons a year. So there's been a lot of change. Along with running Stonehill, I also am the vice chair of the Wine and Grape Board and the chairman of the Wine and Grape Board Technical Committee. My training is in enology and viticulture, the science of grape growing and winemaking, and I'd be happy to answer those technical questions. This money is incredibly important. What Steve did not mention is that the alcohol industry globally is going in a downward trend. Our program, the Missouri wine tax, I should say, is actually the portion we get has gone down by $550,000 since 2023. And that's because global wine sales are really down. The latest issue, American Fruit Grower, the president of the California Wine Grape Growers Association said urgent message. That was the headlines. I told you last year, rip out grapes. This year you need to rip out more. In spite of that trend, we have a very viable industry here in Missouri. We're currently at about 6% market share. And this is with 115 wineries. And Mr. Hofer and I think we probably account for 65% of that production. We're the two largest wineries in the state. We're both second generation. My company is turning into the third generation. I have one son back in the business who completed a master's degree in viticulture at Cornell. My youngest son is finishing his master's in vineyard and winery management at University of Bordeaux in France. We're in this for a long time. We're committed to this industry. We're committed to the tourism industry in the state of Missouri, grape growing, and quality grapes. This money is really critical combined with this new research facility we're going to have, because even though wine has been around since, Christ turned water into wine and even before, there's so much change going on in the industry with, particularly in our climate. We have a lot of disease pressure. We have cold winters and spring frost to deal with. And what we need is more varieties that are adapted to this climate so that we can, be economically competitive in this market. Senator Hough mentioned the Norton grape. This is our flagship. That particular grape has global interest because of its genetics. It is essentially resistant to all the grape fungus diseases. We can grow it very sustainably. We need to learn how to grow it a little more economically and how to optimize the wine quality. We're doing a really good job with it so far, but there's always room for improvement. And what we're really excited about is new varieties where we're utilizing Norton as a parent to get this disease resistance and wine quality into broader varieties. We currently have the first test planting on a commercial basis of a new cross of Norton with Cabernet Sauvignon. And this is truly exciting because this variety is a white. So we have the disease and viral resistance in Norton with the European grape flavor and aroma compounds from the Cabernet. And the trial wines out of it are incredible, like no other variety in the white category that I've seen in our climate. This is the kind of stuff that we need to keep funding. In the test planting at the State Fruit Experiment Station in Mountain Grove, where this cultivar was crossed, they also have, I think it's like 96 seedlings of the Norton grape. So grapes, when you plant a seed, they come out different than the parent. But it takes a lot of time to evaluate those. And I got to go down there this past fall and see the first grapes on these varieties. And there was one white of these Norton seedlings. And, this is a red grape that we're getting a white grape from the seed. And again, it has this same genetic makeup for disease resistance. And I tasted that berry and I was like, oh, this is incredible. And I told the researcher, you have to start propagating this variety. This is incredible. So I'm so excited that in my lifetime, God willing, I'm going to see the first commercial grapes off these test varieties. And, new varieties, more disease resistance, lower farming costs because of less pesticide use, and just a broader array of flavors for our consumers. And, the list of research goes on and on. Mechanization, robotics, it's all happening. I served on a national research committee, I guess it's almost 20 years ago now, and the first robotic work was being done on pruning grapevines. And I thought, well, my kids are going to see that in their lifetime. I probably won't. I'm going to see it. It's happening. We're almost there. And Missouri needs this kind of funding to really catapult us to that next level. And, I'm not happy with 6% of the market share. And I keep telling Mr. Hofer this. We need to be at 10 or 12. And then we're talking a huge economic impact to the state. And we can do it, and I really hope you guys will help us push this through get that funding so that we can keep improving our grapes, our wines, and the economic impact of our industry. Thank you very much, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Thank you very much. I think you heard the main question, didn't you? And you answered that thoroughly.
Thank you.
I don't want a quiz after this is over. Okay. Next witness, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Senator. Good morning. My name is Peter Hough. I'm the second generation owner of St. James Winery. My parents started the winery in 1970. Stonehill was founded by John's parents, and at the time with the restrictions that the industry faced that were put in after Prohibition, they worked together. Mr. Held was on the Farm Bureau board, and so my father and Mr. Held spent a lot of time up here working to set the foundation for the industry growth. The second thing that they did was they started to look to do more research. So they established a research vineyard. We have a pretty big one for R&D in our place. The reason is during Prohibition, all of the knowledge and experience that our state had built to be one of the top states in the United States for wine production was gone. It was after Prohibition, we lost all of that, and so we had to reestablish it. So we know that research is long cycles because of the breeding process and consumer taste changes. So it's a long game that calls for consistent research dollars and consistent investment. This is not a short term, but the payoff for generations is immense for our state with the economic impact that we have, not only in wine industry, but also related industries and hospitality and tourism. The impact in the rural areas is quite broad. We look at ourselves as the tip of the spear for rural development, suburban development, and now inner city development with some of the city wineries going in. So for us, the long-term game was really emphasized to me during the farm crisis in '86. Our industry has gone through what John has described to you nationally, the ups and downs of our industry and agriculture in general are tough times for us, but we have to keep focused on the long-term investments that we do. We had this kind of period that we went through from '86 to '92. It was very similar to what we're going through now. And during that period, the priority for my parents was to keep investing in the R&D vineyards, to get those varietals, to be able to meet consumer demand. We currently, my daughter's joined us, so she's on the third generation track as well. We are now distributed in 25 states, so we're growing nationally. We're one of the top 10 wineries east of the Rocky Mountains. But the industry is changing so quickly internationally that to keep up, we have to continue to sharpen the spear on the demand side. And what John's described to you is our efforts to do just that. So we support this knowing that it's a long-term investment, and it's our hope to return to see what we saw before Prohibition, which was wineries and vineyards in 47 of the counties, and it was ranked number 1 or number 2 in the United States, with New York and California competing with it during Prohibition, right before Prohibition. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of this witness? Thank you, Mr. Hope.
Thank you, Senator.
Any other witnesses in favor? Any witnesses in opposition? Informational purpose only. Senator, in closing remarks.
Nope. Thank you for the time this morning.
Thank you. Accept the motion to adjourn. We are adjourned.